Hey everybody, welcome to 2022, not 2020 also, because that would be...
It could be, it's 2020.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
It is starting out that way, though not entirely, because we did get something very cool that we are going to be discussing tonight here on Force Chatter, and that is the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. That is going to be our topic for tonight. I'm Eric. Welcome to the new year. I'm here with Tim, Lou, and Tom. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm good. How bad could I be? It's 2022, and we have new Star Wars within the last, week? So, very good.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to you all.
It's always a good way to start the new year out when we get new Star Wars. That is definitely true. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm glad it's the new year. 2021 ended really crappy for me. So
yes.
Here's to a better year.
Absolutely. And it will be a better year, one way or another, because we will choose to see it as a better year. And what's that line that Qui-Gon Jinn used to say before he died in Phantom Menace? Something about perspective.
Your focus determines your reality?
Yes, your focus determines your reality.
There you go.
Yeah. I was going to come up with a joke line, but...
No joke.
It's a really good quote. It
really is a good quote, and it's very true. There were some really good quotes in that movie. The whole
I'm also a fan of
anger leads to hate. You're also what?
I'm
Tim,
also
don't do it. Tim, don't do it.
I'm a big fan of, aside from some good Jar Jar
quote, I can feel it. I can feel it coming.
I'm a fan of the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. That's big fan of that. Huge fan of that.
It's funny because at the time,
I have a T-shirt with that on it.
Really? I would buy one.
Oh yeah, I do.
That's awesome.
At the time, there was nothing really that felt that profound coming out of that movie. But the three things that have been life-changing to me are that one, which is more of an observation that's just very astute these days. The other one, the fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And it's amazing how much hatred in the world is a result of fear. And then, your focus determines your reality. That's a big thing. So let's focus on having an awesome 2022. Lou, how is your year turning out so far?
Well, I see we're on day 2. So nothing bad's happened. I'm
Nothing's blown up yet, so
it's great. Yeah, I mean, I've started working out again, trying to get doing the whole back
I can
and shape
tell.
thing.
It shows.
Can you see? It shows.
No, I can't see it all, but it seemed like a nice thing to say.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Oh, hey. So, Christmas came and kind of a low key Christmas, but one thing I got to show you.
Yeah.
Except then, as I was getting all excited to show people, I realized on green screen, this is not going to probably show up that well. Oh, it's doing okay.
No, we see it. That looks good.
It's a little bit translucent.
Awesome.
And I'm going to see. Give me a second here. I'm going to see whether this is going to show up well on camera or not.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there we go.
It does look
Nice.
good.
Yep. See, well, again, the green
Very
screen's
cool.
kind of affecting it a little bit. Plus, I'm really well lit here.
No, it looks great.
But did the little light my bricks thing. So I got that, and I got the Vader helmet. I'm going to work on that one next.
I really like the helmet series. Those are fun builds. They come together nicely. They're fun. You display them. I saw somewhere, I couldn't find it confirmed, but I saw a lightsaber with a stand type thing.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it on some other website.
It
It wasn't
a
like
VIP gift.
Interesting. That's going to be a heck of a one to light up. I mean, it's one big long light, I want to get the Infinity Gauntlet one next, I think.
Looks
I don't know. I got to say, on the website, I was kind of iffy about the light kit for it from Light My Bricks, and then I got it and installed it, and I think it looks cool. Like now, actually having seen it in person and up on a display with the lights in the room kind of like normal or dim, and then having that lit up, I like it a lot. So now it's kind of like, well, the Infinity Gauntlet. I think they've got one for that, and that's got to look pretty
that
cool
would light up
up
nicely.
They do.
Yeah. So
they do.
All right. Book of Boba Fett, episode 1. Came out last Wednesday. We've got the second episode coming soon, second of 7. First impressions. Before I go around the room, I'm going to throw out a couple of things. I do this every time something new comes out, so I'm just going to say it. It was too short. 30, what was it? 35 minutes? 35 minutes long?
35, 38, yeah. I really felt this should have been a double episode. I mean, to start you out, should have been two. Although the ending spot did feel okay. It wasn't like there was like got partway into a story and then stopped. It was just a complete
They paced it well.
Mm-hmm.
They paced it really well. So I have no complaints about that. It's just in general, I feel like, how long were the Hawkeye episodes? Were they half hour or were they 40?
They were all around 35 to 40 minutes, and then the finale was closer to an hour.
Okay. I'm hoping they do that with this finale. It just, because I feel the same way about the Marvel stuff. It feels short for the quantity of episodes we're getting. And again, that's a form of praise because this stuff is so good. I want more of it. Yeah. So, it's a glass half full, half empty conundrum there, but it feels too short. And then I know a lot of people, myself included, are kind of on the fence about the flashbacks. There were, 22 minutes out of the 35 that were flashbacks. We're going to talk about the flashbacks and the content of the episode specifically here in just a minute. But Tom, what are your thoughts on the episode? Did any of the content not sit well with you? Did it all sit well with you? Was it paced well?
No, I really liked it. I mean, it's easy to. I think it's easy as a fan to get caught up in the expectation game, particularly with a character who's not being brought back cold. Right? We've gotten a good amount of Boba at the end of last season of The Mandalorian, and so in a way, I sat there and was really, really pleased with the episode, but I wanted a second episode to bookend there. I thought it was awesome. It scratched some itches that are amazing, but it left me like every scene where he was, I wanted to see just a little bit more of it. And I think we're going to get more where it matters, but this very much felt like a pilot episode, like, comparing it to network TV where they have to put pieces in place. It felt very much the same mold as The Mandalorian, down to some of the musical cues. And so I look back at that experience and think that ride was just fine, looking back on it, hindsight being what it is. And so I'm ready for this upcoming Wednesday, but I was really pleased with it.
That's an interesting point, the fact that they introduced him in The Mandalorian season 2 instead of just now. I think that makes a big difference. If they were just saying, hey, we're bringing Boba Fett back out of the blue and here's a show, I think the expectations would have been all over the place. And I think that getting to see him in The Mandalorian and kind of seeing him come back, even though we don't know what's going on with the Sarlacc pit yet and all that kind of stuff, seeing him in The Mandalorian and kind of easing us back into, oh my gosh, kind of getting over that initial adrenaline rush of getting to see him again and then settling into this gives us an opportunity to focus more on what this story is as opposed to just the, oh my gosh, it's Boba Fett again. Right.
He's killing people and smashing heads.
About that, but you bring up a really good point. The fact that this wasn't a cold reintroduction. They did ease him back in The Mandalorian. I think that probably was a good move. Tim, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, in classic Star Wars fandom fashion, some of the vitriol that exists against this first episode, like
I didn't even look it up.
I haven't looked at it either. Yeah,
just I mean, going on particularly Twitter, and people just saying like they absolutely hate it, like they're not even giving it a chance.
What's being said? Like what kind of nonsense is out there?
Most of it is story oriented.
Okay.
I think they're just dissatisfied with the story.
We haven't seen
there were
the story
a couple
yet.
of things. Well, exactly. Didn't
go anywhere.
That's the whole thing. We got 35 minutes out of 5 episodes. The other thing, and we'll talk a little bit about it in effects. I think some people were kind of dissatisfied with the effects that we got in the Sarlacc. Maybe a little cheesy, and I can see where they're coming from. But I mean, people were just damning the entire thing because of that. It's like, just calm down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what more
wait
do you want?
for the story.
we had to show the inside of the Sarlacc just to say, hey, he was there.
Yeah.
The episode
and yet we
wasn't
couldn't
gonna
make a 4-hour-long production of it either.
Right.
No.
No. Where do you want to spend your money?
What do you think it looks like in there?
Exactly, Tom.
Exactly. Yeah. All we needed to see was the escape, and that's what we got.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I liked the story that they gave us. I particularly liked the balance that they had of flashbacks, because it's good to see kind of the journey that he went through. And of course, we're going to see a little bit more of that in the past. But then I also like this setup for, okay, where is he now post Mandalorian? And, you know, what is he doing on Tatooine? What's he doing? I mean, he's kind of like in retirement. You know, he got his armor back, which was, I'm sure, that definitely was a goal of his. And he's been hanging out on Tatooine for a while. So, hey, you know what? Why not? Let's go back. Jabba's dead. Let's take over the palace. Let's become a crime boss. I mean, it's a much easier retirement than it is going out and being a bounty hunter.
You make it sound like he was walking down the street. Oh, yeah, there's Jabba's place. Oh, it looks kind of empty in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'll move in.
So vacancy.
So he talked to his real estate agent. He made a deal. You know, as it turns out, you know, the resident that was in there wasn't really willing to make a deal, so he died. We're not quite sure how that happened yet, but he died.
Very tragic.
Yeah, horrible, very tragic. So yeah, you know, now we have a new boss. It's all good.
I think of it more as a career change than a retirement, but you know, listen, there were some problems with the episode that. Okay, so for example, when they got surrounded by the guards out in the streets of Mos Espa, and he shoots and it bounces off of the shields and stuff. Why not shoot at their feet? Blow them up into the air. Why not use the flamethrower at their feet? Why not after the shields get knocked down, then start shooting them? There were some questions there, but I mean, number one, it's Star Wars. It's fiction. Get over it. Number two, it's Star Wars.
Just enjoy the ride.
It's a space opera. Get over it.
Right.
You know, we've seen so many. It blows my mind that the same people that complain and, as you said, are filled with vitriol over this are the same people that were fine with A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Those were full of plot holes and stuff too, but we looked over it because it's a space opera. It's a space fantasy, and fantasy typically has big gaping plot holes that you can pilot a Star Destroyer through. That's just kind of how it goes, and you accept it because it's fiction and it's fun. I'm surprised. I knew there was going to be some people out there that were going to throw a fit, but I guess I'm a little surprised to hear that it was this rampant. It wasn't that bad an episode.
I think there was a bit of a pile on.
I'm sure.
And a lot of it's done. People are just parroting the same complaints, and it's done without regard to like the actual story. Like you see, somebody like that sees like, well, why didn't he just shoot at his feet? And I see like, well, I don't know if they had this design, but like clearly he's not on top of his game. Like he gets dragged back to the tank at the end of that scene. He's not in any shape to fight. And, I don't know what his mentality there is. He's not at 100%. And so this isn't
the things I came up with, just like off the top of my head on a whim, there are explanations for it. Like it doesn't break anything. It doesn't matter.
No, I mean, not that it broke anything for me because I still love the episode, but I was kind of curious as to, like Tom said, he wasn't at the top of his game. He's not really firing on all cylinders. So how did he get to where he was? Because he fought really well when we saw him in Mandalorian. He was kicking butt and taking names, right? And now all of a sudden it's like he's gonna have two Gamorreans help him back to the tank. So it seemed a little strange to me in that. Didn't make me want to go, oh, this is just crap, I'm not gonna watch it. But
we also don't know that he couldn't have maybe kept fighting except the fight was done. And at that point, I want to go back to
shape. I mean, he was like, whoa. It's like, how'd you manage this when you came in and before you had your armor back, you were kicking butt and taking names.
And that's one thing that I will say is, that is a valid observation of, we saw him fighting in The Mandalorian and we never even saw the guy winded. I mean, he was just full on.
Yeah, right.
And then he comes into this and sure. He took some, pretty hefty hits and the whatever it was that he was shocked with. the weapons that the assassins had. I mean, I'm sure that probably takes a toll too. That said, I mean, Fennec was scaling a wall afterwards, so
right,
But I don't know. And maybe he had sustained some injury prior to this that hasn't been revealed yet. Whatever.
It didn't break anything for me. It just
like I said, you just
strange.
kind of yeah. So I mean, I get it. But I don't know,
there's one more aspect of this.
I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it.
There's one more aspect of this too. He's not a Jedi. And even if you were a Jedi, he's not Luke Skywalker or Anakin. Like we build these characters up to be superheroes, right? We've never seen Boba Fett be a superhero. I mean, there were 8 to 10 guys there, and he and Fennec took some of them down, and then he needed a little bit of help at the last minute for the 2 or 3 remaining. I mean, he did better than I would have done. We have this tendency. And I think part of it is through the fact that a lot of our expanded fiction has been comic books. Some of it's been novels, where we can kind of fill in the visuals in our own head. And I think we build them up to be superheroes, and maybe that's not really proper. Like we were watching The Mandalorian, and in season 1, we were like, wow, this guy, like they made a whole TV show after him. He's making a lot of mistakes. Like he's getting his butt kicked in episode 1. He's getting his butt kicked in episode 2. In no small part by Jawas. He's getting his butt kicked in episode 3, like on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a superhero. So we keep doing this to these characters and then get disappointed when they don't perform the way we have in our brains. Don't know that that's fair.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he needs to be all powerful. I just thought in my mind it was a little bit strange.
It's valid, yeah.
He fought really well without any armor, and then all of a sudden I was like, he needs some help. But hey, otherwise, I mean, I think everything was spot on for the episode. I really enjoyed everything we got.
It's a good episode. Let's talk about the episode. So we open up, we've got Boba Fett in the bacta tank, and we get some establishing shots of Jabba's palace and all that, and then it cuts away to the flashbacks. It's him inside the Sarlacc. Now, I guess I'd always envisioned the inside of the Sarlacc as like this big cavernous belly room with because he ate like 30 people or something, so there's got to be like plus the robot chicken, it's like they had basically a little lounge and a couch and a bar.
I was gonna say a bunch of people sitting around playing cards.
Yeah. So
I can I just point out though, however, robot chicken is not canonical. just no, Eric.
No, because Seth Green then did Detours.
Nope.
And so that's he's an official Lucasfilm employee now, sort of contract.
Nope. Hate
to gray area.
Hate to break.
That's okay, because I do not like their version of Dengar. I don't like their version of Boba Fett either, honestly. Anyway.
See, I think their Dengar and Boba Fett are funny as hell.
Okay.
So they're great.
We get Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit, and it is not what I expected, but I have to say, after seeing it, it makes sense. Like I realized, oh, well, yeah, that makes a lot more sense than what was in my head.
It works.
They wouldn't be like going for a stroll or like, hey, anyone who's surviving it becomes like Sarlacc Fight Club or something. Like they're going to be in these little like pockets of Sarlacc stomach while they're being slowly digested over blah blah blah.
That just sounds disgusting.
What I wanted to see a little bit more of, and this, like, I think people had built up that scene because of the baggage from Legends and what it might be or what it could be, and their own sort of headcanon for whatever insult you consider Return of the Jedi to be to his character. And so it was sort of like Snoke. People had all these theories about Snoke, except add 40 years or 30, 38, 37 years of fanning over this character, fanboying over this character. And, you get a scene that's just a vehicle. I guarantee if Favreau ever talked about it, he's like, he gets out of the Sarlacc. That's what needed to happen. Yes. And like, he just escapes. It's a vehicle. It's sort of like Rian Johnson talking about Snoke. Like, I don't care about Snoke. It's a vehicle to get Kylo where I needed him to be, right? You might not agree with that. There are people out there that probably wanted like a 15-minute scene of him like fighting his way out and stuff. But he's in stomach flaps.
What
What
is
I
there to
wanted to
fight?
see was a little bit more of like, yeah, I love the stormtrooper like dissolving in there. That was kind of cool and like kind of speaks to what Jabba was doing. Like I don't think that stormtrooper was just on patrol and slipped in. But I wanted to see like him in a little bit more pain, like show. C-3PO said that the Sarlacc is a new you're going to find a new definition of pain and suffering in there. Like show a little bit more of the agony that he's in and sort of the desperation that he's in. I thought if anything, it was he got out of there just sort of snap crackle pop, and I didn't want the scene didn't need to be longer, but show him in some agony. Clearly he was in pain after the fact. I thought they did a good job once he climbed out, but that was the only thing that I would have had any differently.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
That's
Favreau didn't even write that scene. That was written by Patton Oswalt.
That's true.
Yeah, Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, yeah.
If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, do a Google search of Patton Oswalt,
watch it.
Parks and Rec, and the filibuster scene.
do.
He wrote a good portion of what we saw in that scene years ago. Just saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that, I could flip it around and argue counterpoints and stuff, but I don't think it really gets anywhere. I think that, it boils down to, like you said, it was a vehicle to get him where he needed to be. He did show it. He did show him escaping. It doesn't have to be some big elaborate sort of thing. He's in a stomach. There are only so many ways out of it. You cut your way out and dig up. You kill the monster on your way out somehow. And how much more did we need to see, really? So, and honestly, I'm kind of glad that they didn't show the rest of the body of the Sarlacc or anything, because honestly, I don't like the kind of redesign that they did with the new canon. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of silly looking to me anyway. Like if you go to Batu, Lou, you probably saw it. They had in the store, one of the things on the walls was like this little cross section of what the Sarlacc looks underneath the ground. I don't know. I mean, it's not bad, but it's a
little potted plant.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't get too much into
the Venus flytrap for stormtroopers.
So moving on, then we get the scene. He crawls out. He kind of digs his way out of the sand like a zombie out of a grave, and So there we see him hurting. I mean, he's we see in a few minutes his skin's all like kind of eaten away at and partially digested and stuff. And Jawas come. They take the only good parts of him left. I can't wait to see him unload on some Jawas.
They put him up on cinder blocks and left him for dead on the side of the road.
Yep. I appreciated the fact that, like, as he emerged from the sand, like all the sand was stuck to him because obviously he was all like gooey and slimy from being inside the Sarlacc. Like it's funny that there are some details that were missing, but like that's a detail that was there and it's valid and it makes sense.
Yeah. I can't wait for the Jawa retribution scene. I really can't. I'm so psyched for that. Just saying.
Oh yeah, he's basically gonna
fricassee some
Anakin on some some Jawas. I mean, same as Anakin did with Tuscan Raiders.
He's gonna just kill a bunch of Jawas and there's nothing there. Yeah,
this is true.
That's true.
He's gonna go Owen and Baru on him.
He's gonna be like interrogating them, like, "What did you do with my armor?" They're not gonna know. They probably don't even understand the language, and he's just gonna
awesome.
Like animals, the women and the children too.
So then we move on to the Tuscan Raiders village.
Speaking of which,
he's captured. He's there with another prisoner, a Rhodian, who does a lot better at digging through the sand for those little water things that
with those stupid hands with the suction cups on.
The fingers are like rakes. They can just get through a whole bunch of sand at once, and he's just kind of like getting nowhere with it. What you guys think of the entirety? Let's just take it as one big section here. What did you guys think of the entirety of the flashbacks with the Tuscans? I was on the fence. I feel Like I kind of get where they're going with it. I hope they don't drag it out over all 7 episodes. I hope they move along, and I don't mind continuing to see some flashbacks, but I hope they kind of get out of that part of it soon because it's predictable. And I kind of feel like whatever story's there, they already got through about 75 to 80% of it.
Yeah, I'd like to see them basically wrap it up. Maybe next episode, I could see it wrapping up maybe in the 3rd episode, but definitely not going through the whole thing. And I know it's only 5 episodes
7
long anyway, but
that was 7.
I think it's 7.
7
If
episodes.
it's 5. Okay. Wow, you have not heard me rant yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd like to. I like the backstory stuff. I like these flashbacks. I like to kind of see the journey of what happened to Boba during this time that he was gone. And I think it's absolutely a worthwhile thing to do because of, this character who scantly had minutes in the original trilogy as Boba Fett. I really don't count the time that we saw him in the prequel trilogy because he wasn't the armored up Boba Fett that we were used to. So now that we have him back, yeah, I want to know. I want to know what happened, but I also don't want them to spend a lot of time on it. That said, what they did do with this, I liked. And we did also kind of get a sense from The Mandalorian in terms of kind of how the tribes of the Tuscan Raiders operate, and that they're not just these savages. I mean, they have a community, they have an organization, they are very much rooted in respect and that kind of stuff. And so I like to see how that is developing with Boba Fett.
And there has been some discussion about the differences in this particular group versus groups we've seen before, such as in episode 2. And we also have to keep in mind a lot of time has passed between episode 2 and this series. But, there could be different tribes of Tuscans and different groups and such.
I think this is going to be a setup for a payoff down the line. I think he's going to need a favor called in. Chips are going to be down, and he's going to need an assist from a capable fighting group. And nobody, can you think of another organization or individual that's made an alliance with the Tuscan Raiders? Probably not. But
it's a smart alliance.
It's a smart alliance, and it's one that nobody expects. And if he's able to leverage even a modest number of Tuscan Raiders to come to his aid, that's huge. That's a force multiplier, as we say. So, in any event,
right,
true, yeah. And to great effect. You saw it. You saw how effective it was there. So, I think it's a payoff. It's a setup that we'll get the payoff on later. I also think it shows. If you kind of break down and look at his interactions with the Tuscan Raiders, first of all, him yelling at the Rhodian about sounding the alarm was my favorite part in the whole episode.
Gosh.
You just didn't run your mouth.
Stupid
We'd
Rhodians.
be out of here. But I really like this insight into Boba's character, because if you go back, really the only meat and potatoes Boba Fett that we've gotten outside of The Mandalorian has been in the Clone Wars. And I think the young Boba that you see throughout that series is one that's not just shoot first, ask questions later, and doesn't think through anything. He is constantly around people and learning lessons about alliances that he has to build, recognizing his own shortcomings. And I think what this sequence showed is that he is very adept at rapidly realizing sort of cultural differences and what he needs to get out of a particular situation that can't be solved by force and force alone. And so when you I don't know if this was the intent, but they come back from fighting the monster, and it, at least to me, it seemed like he let the young or the undersized Tuscan Raider take credit for killing the monster. And so suddenly, he's got the young one's gotten respect and whatnot, and you see sort of the attitude shift. He's handed some in this case, those are black melons that they're digging out, and they have milk in them. But he's handed some Tuscan Raider refreshment, which I can only imagine
by someone
has
who
to
you
be
have
really
to
good.
wonder if maybe
But yeah,
he knew that it wasn't the kid.
I think he,
I'm sure he did.
I think
he totally did.
That's
Oh
why
my
he did
gosh.
I have a
yeah.
quick question before we go on too much further. Tom, why does your clone trooper have a gold belt on his midriff there? Still has
a gold belt because I defended that belt and won my match.
Did we discuss that on Force Chatter yet? Because I don't think we did. I think we discussed it on the Random Chatter holiday thing. But
yeah, we might not have. I don't know if we touched on it since then, but yes, it. And one of the key questions in the match dealt with clones, so tangentially related to Boba Fett.
On behalf of your fellow co-hosts, congratulations, audience members. If you have
Thank you very much.
Congrats to the Major.
And if you have not watched that episode of Schmodown, you really should. Yeah. Not just your match, Tom. The other matches were phenomenal as well, but yours, there were some really tough questions in there. So,
yes, if you've ever wanted to feel like you've never seen A New Hope before, just go watch the 5 questions that I had to answer.
I mean, I think I do okay with trivia. I'm not in your league, but I hold my own, and some of those I was just, you gotta be kidding me. So along those lines, I have a question for you from the chat room. One of our other Toms here wanted to know, what is the 4-armed creature? I don't think
we have a name on it yet. It was obviously a nice reference and homage there, but I looked through even all the old flora and fauna references to Legends Tatooine, and I don't think there are a couple creatures that kind of come in the ballpark, but
what is it a callback to?
Not this one particular.
What is it
so I think we're seeing it.
To?
It's just to Ray Harryhausen. It very much looked like if it was Jason and the Argonauts or what the film was, but that and then what's the
Clash of the Titans?
What's the other one set on Mars?
There's Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
Clash of the Titans.
I was thinking
Goro.
Clearly, it's not. It definitely looked like one of the old Harryhausen things.
Looked like a little bit like the Martians in John Carter and Mars, that whole series.
Okay.
So
one last thing while we're on the topic of the flashbacks with the Tuscans and Boba Fett. I mean, I'd like it to be just 2 episodes, like Tim had mentioned. I think it's gonna be the whole season. I think we're gonna see this throughout the season.
Yeah.
Because they're setting this up as this is the path, the journey he's on, and he's gonna become not a Tuscan Raider, but he's going to learn their fighting. He's going to learn their ways. That's how he's going to have the gaffy stick. It's a setup from, you can see a mile away. This is coming. It's going to happen.
I hope not. It's too much. I don't think there's
going native.
There's that much story there.
It feels like it's almost like a Japanese samurai thing where you take somebody in, they're going to be recovered, and you're going to heal him back to health, and he's going to become a stronger fighter than he ever was. And it's like, okay.
And that's my concern. Number
We've
one,
seen this story a lot of times.
Exactly, it's predictable. Number one, and that's okay.
Yep.
I can accept that. But then number 2, I don't think there's that much story left there to tell. So if they're going to drag that particular flashback out for the rest of this series, they've got to find 6 more episodes worth of, let's say they don't do any flashbacks for the finale. 5 more episodes worth of story there. They did 22 out of 35 minutes in flashbacks in this episode. That's already a lot. I don't think there's more to tell there. There's got to
5 or 6 minutes per episode. That wouldn't be bad.
I think if they do the rest of the Tuscan thing next episode, and if it trickles into the 3rd, so be it. And then maybe one with the Jawas and him trying to hunt down his armor. And then even maybe one where they show him kind of catching up with Din Djarin to kind of bring it up to modern times.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's that much story left on that. Let's talk about modern time though. The tribute scene.
That was
hilarious.
Hysterical.
Absolutely hilarious.
So the one that came in that they didn't know.
Major Domo.
Oh yes. So the first one came in, they didn't understand what the heck he was saying, and I'm sitting here, I'm watching. I'm like, are the subtitles not on? Did I forget to turn the subtitles on? What's going on? They're like, yeah, I got no clue either. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Now, by the way, the droid there, 4D4, who was formerly the Jabba's torture droid. Or 88.
I know my trivia. See, Tom?
Wrong number.
You'll never get this belt from me.
I can be your janitor.
He's actually voiced by Matt Berry. So if folks see What We Do in the Shadows, he plays Laszlo in there. Nice. He also had a recurring character in IT Crowd. Really, really funny guy, great guy. So yeah, I was pleased to see him in the as the voice actor for that.
Another actor, the Trandoshan that we saw there, played by Robert Rodriguez. So the director of the episode. So that's pretty cool. And then we get, as Lou, you said, not the mayor, the major domo for the mayor. I don't know who that actor is. He nailed that.
He did.
He's fantastic.
Oh,
just like the little hand motions.
Yeah.
Apologies.
The whole attitude.
Yeah.
So good.
And I swear, I actually got it. I'm going to look him up right now while you guys are talking, because I know I've seen that
way. And just the presentation, his presence that he did there, it was so much the subtle, understated, and yet no, I'm not impressed with you at all. Not even almost. Yeah. And I know that you think
just the guy sitting in the seat.
It was so good. Oh my gosh.
And I love it that they both sides thought they had the upper hand. He's like, wait, did I miss something? Isn't he supposed to pay us? And then,
right.
the other, oh, well, what about your tribute to us? And I was like, wait, what? Huh?
But the thing is, the mayor kind of he walked in, the major domo walked in knowing what the score was, and Boba Fett did not know. And I kind of feel like the mayor walked out of it with the upper hand. Now we know Boba Fett's going to get that upper hand back, but for that interaction, Fett kind of got schooled a little bit.
So this is David Pasquasi. Let's see. He's been in Veep.
Okay. Seen most of that.
Running down through what else we might know.
So he's probably one of those actors where we've seen him in 20 or 30 different things and just don't recall.
He's been in a ton of things. Both movies and TV series. There's nothing else. I mean, and some of them are one-offs. Like he was in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. A couple episodes of this, couple episodes of that. There's nothing that really jumps out at me that that's where I know the guy from.
I'm thrilled that we're going to see more of him.
I don't know what it is, but boy, I absolutely hope we do, because he's fantastic. He was the best part of that scene.
I think he was the best surprise of the episode. Really.
Yeah.
That I can't wait to see where that goes, and I hope that's something they get to right in the next episode. I kind of feel like it's going to be. And then of course we get the Gamorreans, and I kind of feel like maybe put some clothes on or something, but I'm not going to judge. It's just me.
I like seeing them in battle like that. I mean, we haven't gotten to that part of the episode yet, but that was cool.
That was pretty good.
Bruising.
So to move along toward that, we get, and Lou, listen, I owe you something. I don't know, a beer or whatever. I don't know how this works because I don't really drink, but kind of right, kind of wrong. I was correct that it wasn't Mos Eisley. You were correct that it was Tatooine. This was Mos Espa.
Yep.
It seemed bigger than Mos Espa, but again, like I said earlier, a couple of years have passed.
Yeah, we had no reference to how big cities were. I just felt like we were going to be on Tatooine because that's where
I know, Boba but is. Wishful thinking.
Hey,
I tried.
You don't like Tatooine.
I don't. There's sand, and it literally gets everywhere. It's everywhere. Poor guy crawling out of the Sarlacc, just covered in it. It was gross. Anyway,
Sarlacc guts and sand.
Yeah.
Now the next scene I really liked. I thought the comedy worked really well here too. When he went to what was the bar
the
thing?
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary, yeah.
The Sanctuary.
I thought that was great, and I didn't know until later it was Jennifer Beals was the Twilight there. I was like, oh my god, I've heard that name in forever.
Now where would people know Jennifer Beals?
What was the dance thing she was in? Movie,
Flashdance.
Was it Fame? Flashdance. That's
or was it
Yep.
Fame?
I don't know.
I thought it was Flashdance.
No, Flashdance.
Okay.
Flashdance. You're right. Yep.
And I feel like she's been in other stuff, but I don't remember what.
She was in Book of Eli.
Didn't see
a bunch of other things. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Book of Eli.
Now, if she
Book
could do that Flashdance scene in the Twilight outfit. Oh.
I mean, have you seen The Establishment there? I'm sure that's probably a thing.
I'm sure, yeah. I thought it was nice that we had a female and male slave that were, coming up to.
So,
can I host
the most ripped Twilight?
The captions for this video and is flagging a whole bunch of like national watch list groups and stuff. Lou. So the equality in the way that the genders are represented. Okay.
It worked.
A lot of people have mentioned
the line. Yeah. Can I hose down your Gamorrean? I mean, that's just awesome. Oh, God. I thought I was going to laugh out loud at that one.
Yeah.
That's probably the best line.
But the problem is, the answer, if somebody asks you to hose down your Gamorrean, the answer is always yes.
I don't want to do it.
You never refuse that.
Yeah. Right?
Hose them down.
And they didn't look insulted by it. So, like, I think maybe it's a thing.
No.
You know it's going to be a meme. It must already be. Another thing, you guys saw Max Rebo. And one of the deaths...
Do we know for a fact that was Max Rebo, or was that like, another...
So Max Rebo has a brother. However, it was confirmed by Lucas a while back that Max Rebo did survive because he was on Jabba's sail barge, but he apparently did survive it. And so the presumption...
Swan diving off the thing.
Dumbo spread his ears.
What's his race?
Ortolan.
What species? Ortolan.
See, I can do the trivia thing.
Maybe they all look alike. I mean, for us, they all, they all
protege.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's very racist of you, Lou.
I know. I'm sorry.
Just saying. They don't all look the same. They just all look the same to you.
That's right. To me, they do.
I really want that song, that version of the Cantina Band
version,
song. Was
Caribbean, however you pronounce it, version of the Cantina theme.
I thought it was cool because it was subtle enough that like you had to pay attention, but when you did, it's an awesome Easter egg. It's like,
I didn't catch it until the second viewing. Yeah. It's going to pop up. They're going to release it somewhere online. They've been releasing Mandalorian soundtracks pretty much each episode, so we're going to get one for this.
True.
That was awesome. And then one last Easter egg, and this is where my trivia fails me. Tom, what is the name of the droid that pilots the Star Tour, or piloted the Star Tours ride, and is now the DJ at whatever that restaurant is in Batuu?
Yeah, I do not know.
Is it Rex or something?
Off the top of my head, at least. So the one at Oga's Cantina is DJ R3S.
So that's the same character from Star Tours.
Same model droid. I don't know if it's the exact same character.
One of the documentary kind of like featurette, come to Batuu and see all the cool stuff we made. It was an explanation that it was supposed to be the same character, and he couldn't get another job, and so now he's a DJ, and not much better of a DJ than he was.
See, but that's not right, because I mean, he's still piloting the Star Tour ships, and he's in Oga's Cantina at the same time. I mean, I saw him in the same day.
True.
Yeah, but that was a different planet, Lou. That was a different time.
He's faster than I am. Then
that was back during the days of the rebellion, and I don't know. I saw something that was official Lucasfilm propaganda, promotional material. I'm just getting hate mail already. It was an official Lucasfilm video that indicated, I don't know if it's specifically canon or if it was just a marketing person got it wrong, but that is supposed to be the same droid. Now, we don't know if that was the same droid dealing the cards at the card table, but it was the same model, same visor, same everything.
So
I mean, there's a lot of the same.
Yeah, it
droid
is.
out
It is so it's an RX series droid. It is.
Okay.
The one you see at Oga's is the same one from Star Tours. That's all accurate. Hasn't been changed. But I don't think he made it off of Batu.
Okay. But he didn't get to Batu takes
by the
place
way,
after this series. So he could have gone from Star Tours to Mos Espa and then eventually moved on to Batu.
Sure.
Just saying.
Sure. And by the way, some props to the folks in the chat room here who several people knew the answer to
Allison
what is the name
Dan
of the droid.
and Fatmatic. Good job.
People are on this. People are.
What this really is Lucas marketing just scoring a touchdown by creating a rando droid, giving him a name, and then it's seared into all of our brains. And now we all inevitably want a toy of that droid and the song and this, that, and the others.
What we're going to learn
is
is that Rex from Clone Wars has his brain taken out and put into the droid, which is now called Rex.
Well, he has such good tactical sense in playlists.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not. So, Sanctuary, they get their helmets polished. I don't know. Filled up with coins. And then they get confronted in the street by what we presume are the mayor's thugs.
I want to point out a small detail there. When the coins spill, you'd have to pause it to see this and look very closely. But they are using New Republic coins in there. You see the old Alliance Starbird in there. So it's a mixed bag, but kind of a cool little world builder there.
And I want to know why the Jawas picked up the coins and not the helmet. That tells me at some point he taught the Jawas a lesson. I want to see that flashback.
Quite possibly.
Jawas.
Probably. Now, also in this this whole attack here by these would-be assassins, David pointed out now, and I think someone else pointed out earlier in the chat, the shields that they're using are very similar to Gungan shields. They're kind of like this plasma projected type of shield, which is really cool.
Almost.
And Gungan
almost had like a ray shield property. I feel like some of the people in the chat are just pandering to you, Tim.
I think so too.
I was just going to say
out of your system.
Lou and Eric are just so unimpressed by this. Tom, you're kind of feigning interest.
I'll play along.
I'm the only one who's really
I'm
excited.
I'm just not sure those are Gungan shields because Gungans probably just stole that technology from somebody else. They didn't break it up themselves. I mean, come on.
Blasphemy.
The Gungans are brilliant. They're mighty warriors.
This is true.
Okay. Moving on.
So, by the way, Joe in the chat room, thank you for pointing out that Tom's audio is louder than everybody else's because it doesn't sound louder in my headset, but fixed it. No, you're good, Tom.
So long as Tom is willing to talk about Gungans,
I'll just talk louder.
I think what it is as soon as he started talking about Gungans, people's ears started to bleed a little bit.
Yeah.
They perked up. They came to attention. They started listening in. Like
an animal would if it's being attacked by something dangerous and threatening that it needs to leave and flee from. Yes, I think so too, Tim. All right, so the fight in the streets, what do we think? I mean, it was a fun fight. There were some plot holes and Boba didn't do quite as well as we expected. There were some tactical choices, I think, that I would have maybe made differently, though. I mean, real world here to fight. What are you going to do?
I enjoyed it. It was entertaining to watch.
Yeah, he killed somebody with the jetpack. That's always a success. Yeah. That makes for a good episode in my book. You could do a lot of stuff wrong, but as long as you fire the rocket.
And the
jetpack of the rocket, the wrist, I think it was a wrist rocket, right?
Yeah, that's true. I'm getting my wires.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He fried a guy with a rocket. I mean, still pretty freaking cool. Yeah,
this is true.
Yeah, that was definitely the best part of the fight. But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting that the only fight scene, the only real true action scene, other than the thing out in the desert with the 4-armed monster, went really badly for Fett. Yeah, they won, but they only won because 2 brainless Gamorreans kind of came in and just pummeled the guy. guys. I guess there were 2 of them they took down. And then,
at least. I mean, well, and the big thing here is that we kind of had this uncertainty with the Gamorreans because they had some prior loyalties. And so we kind of weren't sure. Fennec Shand wasn't sure. She was kind of the voice of the audience, like, hey, I'm not so sure this is a good idea. And Boba Fett's like, hey, you know what? We're going to try this out. We're going to see what works. And it did. They proved themselves loyal and they stepped up and
that's a good
they
point.
saved the
So
day.
there's a story point involved there, and that's okay. So that makes me feel a little bit better about that aspect of the fight. By the way, mediocre modeler in the chat room. It was a lukewarm fight. Well, I mean, it was warm because it's Tatooine. Luke wasn't there though. First episode we'll see. Maybe it shows up later.
This had nothing to do with the internal temperature of a ton.
Well, and there's a quote. So I don't think this was meant to be, a complete showdown. There's a quote from one of the trailers for the show where Fennec is saying that this is just the first wave. I think this is honestly just a test, just a little probing test. Send a few guys, shake them down, and see what they can do.
Now, who sent these guys? Do we think it was maybe the mayor? Because the mayor kind of has a bit of a bone to pick. Is this someone else? Is this someone who's kind of vying for power? What do you guys think?
They're clearly well equipped and dressed similarly. So they either they're from a certain fighting force, or it's mercenaries by trade, or they belong to a particular person. I kind of think the mayor has some shadow dealings that we're going to start to see. He's the only one that didn't come with any cash to pay tribute to Boba. So I don't think he thinks much of too many other people.
I kind of feel like it's too obvious. I think he's going to go confront the mayor. The mayor is going to be like, what are you talking about? I didn't send anybody. And then I think we're going to find out later who was actually sent. I think there are multiple, it was mentioned in one of the trailers. There are multiple different crime families and stuff that are kind of, trying to figure out how things are going to roll out. Jabba had a lot of different lieutenants and things like that. But it would not surprise me, and I really hope that this is the case. It would be a missed opportunity if they don't go this route, but they could introduce Black Sun, Crimson Dawn, any number of groups. They could bring back Kira, which there's been a lot of fan support for doing. I am one of those fans. I think that would be a nice thing to see. We could see Prince Shizor. That would be a good way to bring him into new canon. He may have already been somehow tangentially, but this would be a good way to get to see him in live action, which would be nice. I don't know necessarily that this group is that, but I kind of feel like either it's the mayor and they're going to deal with the mayor right away at the beginning, and the mayor is just going to be the tip of the iceberg compared to what's coming, or if the mayor is actually going to be a big player in this, then those weren't from the mayor, they're from someone else, and Boba is going to exacerbate the conflict with the mayor by accusing the mayor of it being from him. And I think that would be the less obvious story arc, and so that's the one I'm leaning toward.
Yeah. I also expect that in the next episode or two, we're going to see the gathering that we saw in a couple of the trailers of kind of all these
the Godfather
affiliates, I guess, of Jabba's. Yeah, the Godfather scene, basically. So, and I would suspect that it's one of those people who kind of, who may have ordered this attack. Because there's going to be a power struggle here. There has to be.
Yeah.
That's basically the main point of antagonism in the whole thing, regardless of who it ends up being.
Yep.
All right, so Fennec Shand chases a couple of them down through the streets, picks one to keep, gets rid of the other one. So that's
and that parkour scene was great, running off the roofs.
Yeah.
It was good. It was short, but it was quite good.
Yeah, short but good.
I liked it.
And so because of that, I think we're going to find out pretty early on in the next episode what's going on, because I still think you don't keep one to interrogate, you keep two to interrogate, and then you demonstrate to one of them that they're disposable. You only need to keep one of them,
right?
then one of them's going to talk so that he's not the one that you get rid of. I don't know. Just me. Old RPG habits coming back. All right. So what happens after that? That's it for the modern time period, right? And then we go back to the flashbacks for the rest of the episode, I think.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the modern time period thing is then just simply when the Gamorreans drag him off, back to the Bacta tank, and that's what pretty much wraps things up there. So,
the only other personal opinion.
Hang on a second. So Dan from the chat room here says that he says the thugs. I'm assuming he means these assassins. Were wearing the logo that the Ithorian in the trailer, in one of the trailers, had on his tunic, and he thinks that was part of the mayor's delegation. So Dan's digging deep. Thank you, Dan. That's a deep dive looking at stuff in the trailer there, and yeah, so that could very well
that would
be
make sense. And we didn't mention the raiders that were raiding that little homestead in the flashback. They sprayed some kind of a thing on
that symbol.
And someone pointed out that is similar to the letter T in Aurebesh. Don't know that that has a particular significance yet. But I imagine that something significant like that, them specifically taking time out in what's already a too short episode to put graffiti up on the side of a building that they didn't need for the scene otherwise, that's going to be an Easter egg for something that's going to pop up later.
Yeah. Well, there's a scene, I think there's going to be more to that scene that we'll see unfold just based on some of the trailer footage that we've seen.
Yeah.
There was some speculation that a couple characters from somewhere in the original trilogy might be involved in that expanded scene.
I hope that it actually ends up being the stormtroopers from the Troops miniseries, because I think, I mean, and I'd love to hear their commentary on the whole thing, to be honest.
This couldn't get any worse.
I think that would be outstanding.
You gotta throw me in the Sarlacc? Please, I'd love it.
True. All right. The only other thing that,
all right,
the closing music bugged me. The hum dum 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 thing, the vocals, like I was okay with the music through the entire episode, and then the credits rolled and that thing, and I physically cringed. I physically what is that? I've loved all the music in The Mandalorian. I've loved all the music in this so far, and it's the same composer. I don't know what was going on with that song, and if that becomes Boba Fett's theme somehow, I am going to just I'm going to quit Star Wars and become a Trekkie.
See, I didn't care for the music throughout. It didn't stand out as being bad, but a couple times I was like, it seems like a really weird audio cue, and
I thought it was fine.
Yeah. I mean,
it was there.
It didn't detract from it to the point where I'm like, this is just horrible. But a couple times I noticed it. I was like, this doesn't seem to fit. But
okay, I thought it was okay throughout, and it was different from The Mandalorian, and it needs to be different. I just that last the credits thing, I don't know. So. Before we wrap up, any last thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett? I know we're running a little bit long for this episode, but I mean, this is like the first new Star Wars content we've gotten almost in a full year, other than the anime stuff that seemed kind of hit or miss with most people. So kind of a big deal. I know we're running a little bit long, but any final closing thoughts? Anything that you guys are looking forward to specifically that's worth noting now? Otherwise, we've only got
wash down your Gamorreans.
Few days.
Hose down your Gamorreans.
Hose down your Gamorreans, folks. Yes.
My favorite line.
Nothing worse than a smelly Gamorrean.
Pro tip.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Force Chatter. Don't forget to head over to randomchatter.com and check out our other podcasts. If you are listening to this later on as an audio podcast, don't forget you can watch this live on YouTube. We record Sunday nights. We start generally around 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I think that's GMT -5, if I'm correct. I don't know. The daylight savings time always throws me off on that. And then after that, we do our Random Chatter show. But if you can't make the live shows, that's still okay because you can still watch it here on YouTube anytime later on. Just hit that subscribe and like button, and there's a notification button that will let you know anytime we go live or post new videos. And that's at youtube.com/randomchatter or randomchatter.com/YouTube, whichever works for you. You can also hit randomchatter.com/store and pick up some t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, now that the temperature's getting kind of colder. It doesn't really know what it wants to do. It's cold, it's hot, it's cold, it's hot. Buy a t-shirt, buy a hoodie, have one of each. Just be prepared, right? And then finally, go to randomchatter.com/Discord and you can join our Discord server where we have conversations about this show as it airs. We have a spoilers channel just for that. We also have spoilers channels for Marvel stuff and movies that are coming out, all kinds of different things. A lot of different topics going on there. So head over and check that out. That's going to do it for this episode. If you're watching this live, stick around. In about maybe 10 or 15 more minutes, we're going to be back with an episode of Random Chatter where we are going to be doing our 2022. That is the right year, right? The last couple of years have just been such a mess. I know. Yes. Okay. And hopefully this one's not going to be a mess because we're going to be doing our movie preview and we've got a lot of good stuff coming down the pipe and hopefully it all comes out this year. But we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So until next time, take care.